Winterland, tell me all your secrets. Fill me in on your wildest moments. Colored trees, your yellow leaves move me. Dancing roofs, your painted red shakes the room. When I get there, I'll let my feet roll. When I get there, I'll break in your arms, I'll lose control. When I get there, I'll know the answer. Let me know when I get closer. Winterland, you're my sailing ship. Guide me in when you head for your trip. Right out of this wicked black and into bright sand.
Hey everybody, this is Overpass. Oh, happy Monday. This is Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now this is the regular live stream. I would say weekly live stream, but it's a regular live stream which we do from time to time just to hang out a little bit. Now, I'm a few minutes late because I've been running around trying to get the camera and everything set up like I normally do. Usually I have an external camera and then the laptop and everything like that, and for some reason nothing's working. I'm having one of those kind of days today where nothing's working. I have spent the entire day, actually I've had one of those kind of days where I had like my to-do list was all these client, like 5 different client applications that I had to work on. And it was all little stuff on each one, which is difficult going from one project to another project to another project to another project. And a lot of them, a few of them are legacy Ionic stuff, which is, oh, by the way, let me know if you guys could hear me. I hope you guys can hear me, everything right. So a couple of legacy Ionic applications that I just need to update, like some of them through enterprise distribution. And we have this issue where their enterprise account expired because somebody had left the company, whatever. So we had to go through and regenerate all the certificates and everything like that. And I had to recompile the Ionic applications. Of course, it's been a few years, so it was like, you know, the dependencies are all messed up and everything like that. Ugh. And I'm at the point now where everything compiles, everything runs in debug mode, everything gets, like the certificates and everything work through install, but we get the white screen of death when you try to run it on an actual production device. Like on a real device running in debug mode with an ad hoc certificate, works fine. You know, we're running through in debug mode, so you could go through into the Safari browser, everything works fine. But like in the live, when you actually put it live, like the feedback loop is deploy, push it out there, put it on the server, download it, nothing. But because it's production, you don't get any kind of feedback. You can't get into the logs or anything like that. It's just, you know, it's kind of thing where it's just, it should have been like a simple thing. I did a video once about how like moving away from Ionic because I was like really kind of concerned about the way it works, everything like that, and people lost their minds. There was like, in fact, the reason I took that video down was because Ionic said, "Oh, you're damaging our brand," and it's actually a good platform and everything like that. Every time I use it, I have trouble. Every time I use it, something's like way out of date. Every time it's like there's some dependency issue here, there, whatever, and I am just done with it. Of course, we have all the legacy stuff, so I'm not done with it. I'm glad I did stop like ages ago, though. So anyway, enough about me. How are you guys? Let's see. Kevin's here. Hey, Kevin, how's it going? Theo Taylor in the house. Hey, Theo, how's it going? I have an app for you today. Awesome. Cool. Let's have a look at it. Launching on test flight this week, but I can send screenshots on Discord. Okay. Oh, yeah. Let's get the Discord up and running. It basically helps developers manage issues and tasks related to their app releases. Okay, so it's an app for developers. Cool. Jeff, hola Jeff, how's it going? Let's see, Jeff says, do you ever worry that people on test flight might be looking for ideas? I mean, every time I use test flight, I have a closed audience. So I know you could use it like for, you could actually use it as a beta build and everything like that. But for me, it's always just like a closed audience stuff. I use it all the time, right? Just push something out, we're testing it on test flight and everything like that. The amount of times I've had to like explain more than once to clients that like this is not the actual app. Like they're going, I don't, Eric, I like the app. I don't know if people should have to go to this thing and download this other app in order to download our app. I'm like, okay, look, you're the only one who could test it. Like it's just for you guys, right? But it's kind of one of those things that keeps coming up and up again. So, but no, I haven't really had that kind of worry about that. Joe, what's up? What's up, Joe? How's it going? And Adrian says, greetings, future millionaires. Yes, recession's coming. I mean, yeah, we gotta work extra hard now to get stuff. So I have been like last few weeks. I've just been like getting stuff done. Like I just like nose to the grindstone. It's like when you start to realize I've been slacking a bit lately. Like I gotta get some stuff done. So like today, my to-do list was just like June, and a lot of stuff. Oh my God, this apartment. A lot of stuff did get done really well. I did get done today, but there's just a few things. Like I hate finishing the day, and I still got that white screen of death. Like it was like gaining yardage each time. Okay, all right, figure that problem. You're pulling the string, and then you end of the day, you're like, still haven't gotten there, right? So let's see. Theo says he said screenshots through the app sharing channel. Okay, let's have a look at it here. Let's open up Discord. Let's see, through the app sharing. All right, so I'm going to share Discord here on my screen. Just a moment. Okay, here we go. So Discord. So for those guys who are, oh, come on. Don't tell me about the new features of Discord. Okay, so we got the app sharing. So we've got Theo stuff here. So, upcoming release. Oh, look, I mean, what's the platform on this? I mean, it looks like a desktop application. Theo, tell us a little bit about this. Congratulations on another release. So does this tie to like test flight? Does it use like Fastlane in the background or something like that? Create a new app. So is it kind of like is it like a bug management thing, or is it like a analytics thing, like App Center? Oh, Upshot, test flight beta registration. Cool. Yeah, I've never done an open beta registration before. So. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So okay. So he also says, yeah, it's a Mac app. So I mean, yeah. Okay. So cool. I've like released a few Mac apps in the past. I'm doing a Windows app now for a client, and this is why I had to get a Windows. This is the thing. I have a Windows application which communicates via UDP packets through a device, and I have not used Windows for a while. Like I've just been, like. We're having firewall issues, so I have to open up a firewall rule, and I'm trying to find a way to programmatically do that, but I can't. So I'm just including instructions on how to open up a UDP port through coming in through the firewall, and it's it's not that difficult to do, but it's just one of those annoying things with it, which they're not too happy with it. Adrian says, a nice idea, checklist of dev issues to tick off. Is that it? See, it has issue tracking, bugs, features, improvements. Each issue task has each issue has a task list. That's pretty cool. So Thea, how are you storing the data? Is it cloud stored? Is it like, do you share it with teams, or is it like for an individual developer? Does it use does it use a local database, or does it use a cloud database? What is the infrastructure like? I have an issue backlog, and you close off issues and release. from closed issues. That's cool. Okay, let me ask you guys a question. What tools are you guys using for like this kind of stuff, like project management? Do you use Jira? Do you use for some we have a project we're using Jira for. We have a project we're using Trello for, just Trello. In the past, I've used like Aptanza and stuff like that, but like a lot of that stuff sort of like, I used to have shiny object syndrome. It was like, okay, let's use this tool, let's use it. But now a lot of that stuff, if it's just my own stuff, I use like Todoist, and I used to have like a Todoist project, and I just like those little things. I'm like, okay, must remember to do this. Must remember, it's that way I could go through my Todoist each week and think, okay, what do I need to get done? Which is why today was like an exceptionally busy day, just thinking, okay, I got 1 hour to do this, 1 hour, like 1 hour for each project. And it was like just getting that stuff done. And then the last one was just that white screen of death was just going through that. So, okay, using Core Data, cool. For indie developers, Core Data sync with CloudKit. Oh, awesome. Adrian's Trello. Yeah, Trello is one of those ones. The reason I use Trello, and I like Jira. I like it a lot, actually. Now, I used to hate it. I used to think, so I have people show me Jira, and I thought it's too complicated for like non-developers to use. And now I've kind of got to the point where it's like, no, actually, no, it isn't. The sprints and everything like that. But Trello is dead easy. Like everybody gets Trello. Right? You create a Trello board, and you can give it to your clients, and they understand what's going on. They don't have to you don't have to explain to them like too much stuff. It's just sort of like, okay, you can keep track of where we are with each of these issues and all this stuff. You can post comments to it, all that, each issue that you have. And the only downside to it is that you have this alternate form of communication someplace where you're just trying to figure out what was said about something, and you got to dig through it to find out all that stuff. So, let's see. Theo says iOS and iPad OS versions are a work in progress, but trying to get a Mac one out first. Well, that's pretty cool. The Mac is where you're going to be doing your development. It's one of those things where I kind of I remember when I got my iPad thinking this was going to be my, I wonder if I could just make this my one thing, but you can't, development. I've never seen anybody do any development on a tablet or on a phone especially. So, let's see, I like Jira too, but yeah, my friend's assistant loves Trello. Yeah, I think, and she isn't techie at all. I think that's it. It's a bit like a lot of times when we get into design patterns and the more advanced developer stuff, inversion of control and and all this kind of stuff. You're getting into this as a developer, you're getting better as a developer, but a lot of times you still can only go at the speed of the last person in your team. So it could either be we're going to bring this person up to speed, or we're going to dumb things down a little bit. The amount of times I would try to get companies I worked for, let's go into an agile architecture. Let's do sprints. And I remember once trying to get, because I just got my Scrum Master certification. This was in the early 2010s. And I was working at this company, and they were really keen. I was like, oh yeah, we want to do agile too. So when I started doing it, I started putting together the backlog. The first thing they said was, we don't like the name backlog because it makes it sound like we're behind. I'm like, okay, we can call it whatever we want. It's a task list, whatever, right? But we have these sprints, and I go, okay, well, when's this going to be done? That was the whole thing. It was we had, they had to have end dates on stuff. They just could not, so basically what we were doing was we basically took the backlog and the sprints and built it into a Gantt chart, which was the opposite of what it was. And it just became a normal project, which of course was delivered late and all that kind of stuff. So, let's see. Jeff says, any recommendation for a small business email service? Are you talking about I use Google, not Google. It was G Suite. It's still G Suite, right? Or is it they changed the name of it? So I still use that. So all my domain and everything goes through there. It's easy for me to add people on and remove them and everything like that. So I use G Suite. So you have the browser interface, everything like that for the internal emails, and it's got, of course, you got everything's archived and everything. So I like that, and and I thought about going back to Outlook or Office 365, but there's something about I like the Google way of doing things. A lot of times the Office stuff gets expensive and it gets very corporate. And but like when it comes to actually sending stuff out, I use Mandrill for like you're talking about like transactional SMTP server. I use Mandrill through Mailchimp, and I keep thinking I need to move everything over to SendGrid, because SendGrid seems to be a little bit more dedicated. Like the fact that Mandrill, I can't log into Mandrill and just have a Mandrill account without having a Mailchimp account kind of bothers me. Like it's like, okay, I want to move away from Mailchimp too. Mailchimp has always been there. Like we use it kind of a little bit, but it's not really to the level that I wanted to. So we're kind of moving everything from Mailchimp to GetResponse, which seems to be a better value. But we don't send off that many emails anyway. But the transactional stuff, like we actually have like something running on a server that sends an email off. The amount of times we've tried to use Gmail for that, like developers I've worked with, and even myself, where it's just like it just gets locked because it can't identify it, or it's like suspicious activity coming from this user. It's terrible. In fact, I have a client now who when I said we need an email, we need an SMTP server, and they're like, we don't know what that is, and I'm like, well, your technical people should know what it is. And the technical people, I don't think they were that technical, because they came back and gave me an Office 365 account, which keeps getting locked. And they keep coming back to me going, emails aren't going out. I'm like, well, someone has to log into that account and unlock it. So it's like, so yeah, when it comes to email stuff, like you need that SMTP server. And for me, it's like, again, I want to start using SendGrid, but it's still the Mandrill stuff. I see. Theo says, looked at the M2 MacBook Air, by the way. Really, I mean, it kind of bugs me that, it feels like I just got this MacBook Air, and now it's like, now it's going to be out of date. But how was it? Is it, is it worth doing? I mean, technology is just moving so fast. Oh. Gwynny, hey. Hi, Eric. Hey, Gwynny, how's it going? Is it Gwynny? Did I pronounce that right? Drago Alive says, are you using Compose yet? No, I'm not. I'm not using anything that's native at the moment. So all the technology that I'm using right now, I'm using Flutter. I'm begrudgingly using a bit of Ionic just for some legacy stuff, which I just wish I could just, the amount of times I thought about just rewriting some of these projects for free, thinking, how long would it take me just to rewrite this, rather than sit here with, with the trying to figure out what dependency down the road is, which dependency is no longer valid, and dependency hell and everything like that. I think maybe I could just rewrite this in Xamarin or Flutter or something like that. So I use Xamarin, Flutter, and Ionic. For server stuff, I use Node.js. I still do a lot of Firebase functions and stuff on the on Firebase, on server stuff. So every time if it's one of my projects, and we're doing something on the server, I prefer to use Firebase, just because you have the function, you have the cloud functions, you have the Firestore. Although, again, it's still being I think it's because of my advancing years, I still like transactional databases. I still like SQL-based databases as opposed to NoSQL. I like just being able to bring up a query window and just being able to find out what's going on rather than write code to do stuff like that. So. So yeah, what is Compose? Compose is, what is because it seems like it could be something in a lot of different things. Doesn't WordPress have a Compose? Is that what it is? Yes or no? Thanks. No problem. So Theo says the 24 gigabyte RAM hooked me. I wasn't interested until I saw that. Ooh, that actually does sound pretty good. Yeah, it was a couple years ago, I got my iMac. I thought, okay, I've been using a MacBook Pro for it was 16 gigabytes for a long time. The disk keeps filling up. It was SSD, so it was still pretty good, but it's it started to make this noise. The fan in it was just constantly going, mainly running out of disk space and memory. And I'm always running virtual machines on it, and then video editing and stuff too. So I thought, I got my iMac. I got a powerful desktop computer. I just want to get something where I put 72 gigabytes of RAM in it. I'm just load that thing up, and it's it edits videos very quickly, and it does. But then I and everything like that. But I get just sitting in the corner of my bedroom at that desk. There are times where I'm just feel like you're strapped to the thing. It's like there's times where you just want to go out and do something, like go to the coffee shop or something like that. Just get out and go work someplace else. And that's one of the nice things about having the laptop is for. However, the laptop with the 16 gigabytes and the small screen is like puny in comparison. Like it's I want multiple monitors. Like, why don't they make a coffee shop where you just go plug in using with your HDMI port to like multiple monitors, and then you can just sit there and work there. Because most people don't use the multiple monitors, probably. Mega Man, what's up? Hey, how's it going? Let's see, so, okay, composes the new Android UI toolkit to replace XML views. Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, like, in the Google I/O, when they started announcing the native stuff, it was one of those things that kind of brushed over me. I hate using XML views, so I'm glad they're getting rid of that, right? So... but like when you're using like a framework, like a lot of times it's built on top of that. So a lot of the stuff I'm doing lately in Xamarin Forms is XAML. So I forgot to close the windows before I started this live stream. So apologies for all the traffic outside. It's a beautiful day, and it's like in the town I live in, they got a lot of they like to drive in their really loud cars. Let's see. John says. We are getting stuck in the right name/image for an app. What would you do? Well, I think it's well, that's one of the nice things about testing, though. I mean, because you could play around with the name a little bit using on Google Play. You could use Google Play. You could use the experiments, especially for the images. But like, I think if you go in there and you're looking for the perfect thing, this is what happens when working with clients. They're looking for the perfect thing, and and that's a lot going on. Like, oh, we got to make sure it's right the first, because we can't change it afterwards. When the reality is, you can change it, right? Try something and see how well it works, or try a couple different things. In the 4-Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss, he talked about creating Google ads, so he tried different names for the book that he was going to put out. And just creating Google ads to see which ones people click on most. So, there's lots of experiments you can do like that. But I've always been of the case that you put something live, and then that way you could just go with it. Like, and your package name can't change, but like, everything else can. You can switch things around. Now, if the name is too different, like you could play around with the name on the console, like on the developer console or in the App Store, without actually updating the app itself. But you might get it rejected by, especially on the Apple side, when it's like, actually the app is called this and your name in the App Store is this. So, sometimes they'll get you on that kind of stuff. So you might want to change it a lot. But I think that's something that go with one of them, and then you could always change it. Actually, having said that, yeah, you could always make slight modifications. It depends if it's like totally different, then maybe not, because you do want to have a bit of like backlinks and people like mentioning the app and everything like that. So it depends on how varied they are. Like if it's like something that's completely different, then you might want to narrow it down a little bit, but you could like vary it a little bit. Let's see. Jeff says, "Have you got your 50% Apple commission account yet, Eric?" I never did. My Apple income is still about 80 pounds a month, so it's like not a lot. But most of my AdMob revenue comes from iOS, so that does really well. But that's not that's not the 15%. So no, I applied for it, but never heard anything back. So, let's see. Draco Alive says, "Yeah, XAML. Hopefully, Xamarin will take the direction of F#. Your life would be 100 times better." I've never used F#, like the functional programming. I remember when that came out, and it was like I never saw the point in it. Like it's, I've never tried it and thought, oh, this changes my life. So I think it's one of those things where I never explored it enough to find out how beneficial it would be. Do you know what? When I first had I've told you guys how I didn't start off in software. I was like a history was going to be a history teacher, and I had this like interview at an investment bank, and it was like such a like, I think they invited me by mistake because I was applying to everything, and I went into this open evening, and I had an interview with somebody, and she was like one of the heads of one of the departments, and then there was another guy who was like, I think he worked for her, but I didn't end up working with either of them, but they're the ones who decided to hire me, and despite my lack of knowledge, but one of the things she said at the time was, you're going to find that you can't keep up with everything. There's like so much new that's coming out all the time. You just can't keep up with it. Now, this was like in 1998. And back then, I contend that you could keep, like I tried as hard as I could. Like, just everything that came out was like, oh, what's that? Like, let's look at that. And now there's so many friends, like, especially in the last, well, I say 5 years, probably more like 10 years, when all the different JavaScript frameworks started coming out, and every week there was something new. We just couldn't keep up with them. Like, everything was just coming out so fast. So now it's like, now I'm starting to think, yeah, you can keep up with everything. So a few years ago, like I remember saying, like, I want to learn this language, I want to learn that language, and somebody said to me, it's like, why don't you just become really good at one language? And I thought, to me, that's boring. Like, it is, but like a couple different languages. Like, if there's something where I'm looking at something and I'm thinking, oh, this would be a good time to use this new tool or whatever. Like, then that, to me, that makes it exciting. You're talking about the monotony of sometimes of the work that we do, but like, if it's something like, ooh, I could try to use, for this project, let's do this one in. Let's use Compose for this or whatever. Let's try to use the latest thing. So, but when it actually trips you up is when you're like, when you get stuck and you can't quite figure it out. You're like, because something's too new, like something's bleeding edge. You could get stuck, like where you can't find a solution to it. But for the most part, so today I've been working with the Ionic stuff, and just the white screen of death was all like when you get to the point where the error message I'm not getting any error message, I'm not getting any feedback, which is the worst kind of thing. Apple is like terrible for this too. Like, if we talk about Apple versus Google or Apple versus Microsoft, Google and Microsoft seem to be a lot more developer focused, in my opinion. So when you get an error, it's like kind of like a unique error. Like, it's something you could look up. You think, what could be the possible causes of this, whatever. Right? With Apple, it's always like error number 50, right? So today, for about 3 hours today, I'm uploading stuff to a server using an enterprise distribution certificate, using where you download the manifest. If you've never done it, you could put something on a server. Someone goes through it, they could click on a link, it will basically download the manifest.plist file, and then it could download the IPA and actually run it locally, but you have to go into settings and approve that vendor. Right, so it works, but it's clumsy. But like a lot of clients, they prefer to do it. They don't want to deal with the App Store, but they still have to go through the enterprise account and everything like that. So basically, the error message I was getting was unable to download app at this time. Try again later. Like, that was like all the it was obviously like there was no server issues. It was just like there was something in there that was preventing it from happening. There's no logs. There's no, I tried to bring it up on the remote debugging through Safari, nothing. And that's one of the worst, where you're just like, okay, what could be wrong with this? And you just start tweaking stuff. Try to change this, to the point where it gets really frustrating after a while. And then finally I found out what it was. It was in the info.plist file, we're using Bluetooth, and of course you have to through every iOS version, you have to add more descriptions and stuff like that, like why the photo usage description, the documents description, why it was a Bluetooth, why you're using it. So because it wasn't going through the App Store through an approval process where it actually validates this stuff, it was just basically just compiling, and then it wasn't downloading. It was everything was working until the point where it just said, can't download at this time, please try again. No feedback. So it was a lot of trial and error to get to that point. which is like when people ask me like for help with their code, like occasionally I'll get somebody who says, Eric, I'm getting a you know, object not set, you know, not no instance of this object error. What does that mean? I'm like, well, it could be in any, like, it's probably because you have an object that's that hasn't been instantiated, or you think has a value but doesn't have a value. He goes, no, it does have a value. I'm like, well, that's what the error means. And they go, and they're arguing with me as if I could say anything about it. I'm like, look, we've all been there. We have to go through and just, you know, something should be working and it isn't. So you're just like changing it and changing it and changing it and redoing it. So that was my day today. So to which I am just exhausted. So, you know, a little bit of a rant there. So I don't even know if you guys are still there. Let's see. Oh, actually, I didn't scroll down. Let's see. Jeff says, how hard was Flutter to learn, Eric? Easier than native? I think it is. Because I think one of the nice things I like about Flutter is that boilerplate code it gives you. It's like funny, watch any tutorial on Flutter. It's like, first thing we're gonna do is delete all this stuff, right? And I was like, when you're first learning, you're like, no, leave it there just in case. Like the amount of times I put stuff out there with boilerplate code still in there, like just some orphan function. I was like, yeah, because I'm like, I might need to refer to that later. But then once you get your confidence in it, then you get better at it. So I think I found it to be fairly easy to learn, especially when you're dealing with Firebase. And once you realize how the app lifecycle works, like, you know, when you be able to set up app routing and everything like that, you get everything everything working. The one thing I don't like, so when I compare like something like Xamarin and Flutter, is like when it comes to data binding and like business applications, I like the way that you have like two-way binding in Xamarin is way easier, kind of like with Knockout.js or whatever. You know, if you do binding, it just bind to a text box, you know, and then save the changes to the text box. That's easy. But like in Flutter, it was all the setting up a text edit controller and then the text box, and then, you know, having that, you know, it was like just really, you know, that was one of the things I don't like about the way it works. But I like the way how fluid it is. I love getting the animations to work, like the hero animation. I love that kind of stuff. So it's actually surprisingly easy to learn. And you got the flow issues sometimes. Like you get the red screen, we're like, oh, what's this now? Basically, you know, but it's all, you know, fairly easy to go through this. So Theo says, just got accepted to the JetBrains Fleet preview. What is Fleet? I've got like, so that's one of the things. I got the JetBrains subscriptions every year. I spend, I guess, £200 or something like that. So I got all the JetBrains suite. So I use all the I use JetBrains Writer for .NET development. I use IntelliJ obviously for Android, and use WebStorm a lot. And sometimes I'll use app code. Although it seems like a lot of times the JetBrains tools just need to be lagging behind native just enough where you're like, this isn't working in app code. I'm gonna go to Xcode just to figure out, like, you know, if it's something there. But is Fleet the hang on, let me find out. I'm gonna Google this now. Yeah, this is kind of like their generic, all over the place IDE, isn't it? Interesting. It would be nice to have like one IDE for everything. See, Mega Man 2016, hey, it says, where's the best place to find dev jobs now that Stack Overflow jobs is no more? I still just like to go onto like JobServe in the UK and just use whatever it is you need to find it. I like when I'm looking for a job, I'm not like restricted to like one tool. I'm like, I'll go on everywhere, figure stuff out, you know, wherever the recruiters are going. Because most of the time it's recruiters that are posting to these sites anyway. Like a lot of times, if I go to like say back in the day, it would have been Monster or something and JobServe, and it would be like a lot of times I get the same guy that I actually reach out to. It's like they're the same one who, you know, they're basically cross-posting their jobs into different places, and it's putting something in there that like what I've never used and I've never been interested in using is LinkedIn for job search, like just because it's, you know, although it'd make more sense, like if you have like a really good LinkedIn profile, but I've never used LinkedIn for job search. I think I just don't like LinkedIn in general. I think it's so stuffy and, you know, everything. So let's see, Mvvm cross or light. I just use, like on Xamarin Force, I just use the standard Mvvm pattern. I'm not using any plugins or anything like that. So I basically create a class which is going to be my view model. I create my my models, obviously, and then I create my actual page. So, like, you know, my view model is just a class. I mean, it'll expose. A lot of times I'll use a base view model just so I don't have to keep doing iNotify property change in every single time. I don't have to keep implementing it. I just have that in a base view model, and then you have like the is busy and whatever stuff you commonly use. So I'll just do that. I just use vanilla Mvvm pattern as opposed to a framework. Every time I try to use like a framework, like actually, like I've looked into like Prism and stuff like that, and people really like that, but then I'm like, it's too far removed. Like, it's like kind of thinking, then I'm trying to build something, but now I'm trying to learn something that's not necessarily necessary to what I'm trying to build. Like, you know, it's like, and it's something that I don't know if it's always going to be there, like, but I know that the code is always going to be there. And that might be just very cynical the way to think about it. I don't know if you guys, you know, when do you guys, but so Drago alive. Which one do you use? So anyway, let's have a look. So let's have a look at this this JetBrains fleet, because I'm actually like, I want to learn about this thing. Let's see. JetBrains fleet, next generation ID. So this looks like it's for, what's that, TypeScript? See, I really do like the JetBrains tool, just because mainly having the same keyboard shortcuts between all of them, like just being able to know where everything is. I hate like every time I switch from, say, WebStorm to Sublime Text, which I still use Sublime Text. Every time I switch from like one to another, I always have this issue where like where the keyboard shortcuts are off. If I want to like look for the next instance, or I want to highlight all the instances of a pattern, it would be like Control G in the JetBrains tools, like on all the tools. But when I go into Sublime Text, it'd be like Command D, and it's just like, it just throws you off just a little bit. Like, this is one of the ones I use constantly. Yeah, JetBrains, I mean, they're really pushing to be a lot like the main IDE. And I think the fact that they took IntelliJ and made it into Android Studio, which was way better than Eclipse. My God, Eclipse was like, Eclipse was a bit like Xcode. It was just clumsy, and like it was, you know, it seemed like it was developed by a developer who liked to use Vim or something like that. It was like he didn't want, you know, he was indignant that he actually had to use an IDE at all. So, ooh. Let's see. Us. Oh, am I still sharing my? Okay, so Sarab says, how to handle accessibility better in some miscellaneous cases like bottom nav very less stuff about these issues. It's difficult, like, because in order to really test accessibility, you kind of have to know what people expect through it. Like, I think like we did one for blind or people who had sight impairments, and I think we tried to be a bit clever with the way we use accessibility, which was different than native iOS and native Android did. So if you go into like the accessibility settings and you're used to saying like page 1 and it reads the names of the apps and all this stuff, or just being able to like tap on stuff. Whenever you try to do something that the platform doesn't do natively, you're just going to make it confusing for everybody else. So a lot of that stuff would be like, I would suggest having a look at other applications and seeing what they do in that situation. So a popular application, because if it's like not such a popular application, they might not be thinking about accessibility. So if you go into one of the major applications that use a bottom nav bar, you might want to just go through and set your phone to be whatever you're trying to target, and then that way you can see how it handles it. That way you know how to code yours. A lot of times it's like extra tags in the buttons or extra meta, kind of, a bit like the alt tag in HTML image, right? The alt tag, in case it didn't render, it would do that. But like there's other things that go into the code that does that. And then that way, at least you can test it. You find out what it is. One of the hard things you might find is like getting back into settings so you can set it back to the way it was. I do the same thing when I test in foreign languages. Like if I testing, we did if we do an app and we're like, if we localize it to like Korean, like I don't know any Korean. I can do Chinese. Like I know enough Chinese that I can find my way back to settings. But when it comes to Korean, it's like nope. Like it's just like go. All those icons that you like just ignore in the iOS settings, you have to find your way back into those. So let's see. Drago says very nice. I agree. I use Lite since it's just a library and not a framework. But I can totally see your point. Thanks for sharing it. Just my opinion. Like I might be completely in. Let's see. Eclipse and the ADD plugin showing your age, Eric. I know my age. Oh, my age. This is you know what? I realized in this live stream today, I've been moaning about Ionic. I'm like, it's just, I think I just woke up on that side of the bed today. Like, I'm just like, okay, please, gods of Ionic framework, be kind to me today. And you're like, okay, please. So there's like, dust off this old code. Okay, blank screen. Why? What's different now? What plugin is no longer relevant? What's changed in the platform that's not there? Like, some old code that I haven't updated in a few years. So having one of those kind of things. So like, there was like, I felt a bit overwhelmed because I have all these little things. There's stuff that I'm not necessarily getting paid for, but just stuff that I need to like maintain, like old client stuff. Like they're saying, our app's not working anymore. I was like, okay, let me have a look, right? And so I'm like going through and I think this weekend I'm going to go through it and do it. And then you keep running into these roadblocks. Like, was it? Like, well, most of the time it's like because Apple's updated their terms and conditions and the client someone needs to go through and approve them. And then they, a lot of times they don't know how to do it, or the person who's supposed to do it is on holiday because they can't like delegate it to somebody because only the owner of the account can actually go through and approve the terms and conditions. So, and they always say, Eric, can you just do it for us? I'm like, I can't. Like, you have to do it. So, which becomes like a thing. So, like, usually one of those blockers where you're like, was it? And there's other things where you're just like, things that should work but aren't. We're working on this project, and I was trying to create some Facebook ads for it last week. And so I blocked some time out. So, okay, that's it. I'm finally going to sit down, and I'm going to create these Facebook ads. And you go in there and go, oh, Facebook, now you require two-factor authentication. So, okay. So I have to set up a two-factor authentication on my Facebook account in order to use ads. So I did that, and then, of course, Messenger stops working. So it's like, well, okay, so how do I get Messenger to work? It's just this dumb stuff. It's like technology is moving so fast, especially when you're one company where, like, they're moving at different speeds. It's like, so... It's, do I set up another Facebook account so I can actually create ads, or do I just like not talk to people on Messenger anymore? I am getting, yes, you're right. I am getting to be an old man. I am showing my age. So anyway, everybody, thanks for the thumbs up, by the way. Let's see. I think that's it. That's the last question. It's gonna be like nice, easy day today. Again, like I said, the setup's a little bit different here. I'm like, if I show you my kitchen here, like I've got the camera set up, and I can't even use it because for some reason it's not even working. There we go. Camera set up, light set up, and in the end, live stream time hits, and nothing's working. So anyway, so we're gonna call it here. I get back to that white screen of death from Ionic. See if I can figure that stuff out. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you have a great week. Oh wait, one more question, says Sarab. Have you worked with handling gesture navigation? One of the apps I was working with got messed up with the back gesture navigation. The only time I ever use it is to deactivate back gesture, and usually because that's one of those things that never quite feels the way that I should. I've done gesture stuff like in games, like swipe up and swipe down, but just that. I've never done. Let's see, have we done one? Yeah, we have done one where 3-finger tap. That was more the accessibility one. So, but trying to do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, most of the time it's to disable it. I had a client come back through and says if they swipe back, then they lose their data on a form they're filling in, so they want to disable that. So it's and usually that's pretty easy to do. So, but anyway, so hey everybody, thanks for joining the live stream this week. I know it's a really, really quick one, but actually no, 50 minutes, that's not bad. That's decent. I hope you guys have a great week. Thanks for joining this week, and thanks Theo for letting us see your app and all the screenshots and everything like that. And I hope you guys have a great week ahead. I'll talk to you guys again next time.